Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really plunging headfirst into a challenge that, well, if you've ever worked in an organization trying to make a real world impact, you've almost certainly hit it.
Hmm.
It's about how truly valuable insights just get lost in the shuffle,
Yeah.
especially within NGOs, development teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're talking about that constant nagging feeling that incredible field knowledge gets stuck somewhere. It just never quite reaches the people who actually need it to make decisions.
Right.
So, our mission today is to explore a solution, something potentially transformative that's designed to turn that friction into, well, a much smoother flow, to make sure every hard won lesson is actually captured, shared, and used.
And this isn't just like a minor annoyance, is it? When critical insights disappear, it creates these really profound
Right.
organizational memory gaps.
Memory gaps. Yeah.
You see teams basically doing the same work over again because one team doesn't know what another already figured out.
Yeah.
You get missed opportunities to build on things that worked before, and ultimately it really just slows down progress. It's a significant barrier to the very impact these organizations are trying to achieve.
Okay, so with that pretty stark picture of knowledge loss, let's zoom in a bit.
Mm.
I want you, our listener, to really visualize the kind of everyday chaos we're actually talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
Think about those field teams. They're often working in remote places, unpredictable environments, right?
Absolutely.
Then picture the ableist meetings back at HQ or on Zoom.
Yeah.
Key decisions get made, maybe, but the why behind them often isn't properly documented or shared.
Or it's buried in meeting minutes no one reads.
Exactly. And consider the overloaded desktops, digital files scattered everywhere, Dropbox, Google Drive, local drives, and those huge stacks of reports that, let's be honest, rarely get read past the executive summary.
If that.
Yeah. Now, layer on top of that, teams working in different silos across multiple time zones, often dealing with emergencies. It just feels like a recipe for knowledge to splinter off and become incredibly hard to find, let alone act on, doesn't it?
It absolutely is.
Mhm.
And the core issue here, the why, is that even with all the massive effort that goes into gathering data and insights,
Right. The data collection part.
yeah, that true value often gets trapped. It's sort of like having a gold mine, but absolutely no way to refine the ore effectively.
Good analogy.
The information is there somewhere, but it's inaccessible right when you need it most to inform the next step, the next project.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what really creates those organizational memory gaps we mentioned. Past lessons just aren't easy to pull up, which stops an organization from really learning from its own history, its own experiences.
Okay, so given all those, frankly, quite formidable hurdles, you might be thinking, is there any way out of this mess? And the answer, thankfully, is yes. This is where something like Propel comes into the conversation. And it's positioned not just as another piece of software, but as, well, potentially a real game changer.
Hmm.
They call it a collective intelligence platform. Now, that might sound a bit like jargon,
They can sound that way, yeah.
but what it means in practice is that Propel is designed to help organizations shift from just passively storing data to actively capturing it, organizing it, and sharing knowledge almost in real time,
Right.
essentially creating a kind of living, breathing brain for the whole operation. The promise is helping organizations learn faster, act smarter, and make their impact go further. Basically, one place to serve as your organizational memory.
And what's really powerful, I think, about Propel is how it operationalizes learning. It lets you actually plan what you need to learn while you're doing the work, not just after the project's finished.
Ah, okay. So learning isn't just an afterthought, like in a final evaluation.
Exactly. Then it gives you a structured way to log your experiences, your insights, as they happen in the flow of work.
Right.
And maybe most importantly, it makes it easy to access and explore all these learnings later so that accumulated wisdom becomes immediately actionable. It turns your knowledge base from like a dusty archive into a dynamic resource you can constantly build on.
That sounds incredibly useful.
Yeah.
Let's make this more concrete. To really show how this works, let's put you, the listener, in the shoes of a program manager.
Yep.
Imagine you're overseeing, say, a climate change adaptation program, somewhere like rural Kenya.
Hmm. A common scenario.
Your field team is out there. Maybe they're trying out some really innovative farming techniques, things that are genuinely helping communities cope with, let's say, severe drought.
Great work happening on the ground.
Absolutely. Now, let's call it the old way.
Yeah.
Those amazing lessons, what actually worked, what didn't, maybe why it worked in that specific context, they'd likely just get buried deep inside a final project report.
Or lost in someone's inbox when they leave the project.
Exactly. Gone. Or just incredibly hard to find later, let alone apply to another project.
Right. This is really where Propel aims to fundamentally change the game. With Propel, your team doesn't just have a static project plan from 6 months ago. They have what's called a living learning agenda for that specific project.
A living learning agenda. Okay, what does that mean in practice?
It means it's a dynamic framework. It adapts. As your team is implementing, the platform actually sort of walks them through, capturing key experiences and lessons. It prompts them to think about what worked well, what didn't work so well, and importantly, what recommendations they have for the future based on that experience.
So it guides the reflection process.
Precisely. It's like a continuous feedback loop built right into the workflow, and to make sure those lessons are captured in the moment, not weeks or months later when memories fade.
Okay, so if I'm getting this right, teams aren't just waiting for that final report to figure out what happened. They can actually explore throughout the project implementation what they've learned
Yeah,
and use those reflections right away for adaptive management, making changes on the fly.
that's exactly it. That immediate feedback loop is huge for agility. It allows for real-time adjustments based on real-time learning.
Wow, okay.
And it gets even more effective because the platform automatically helps categorize each insight, by location, by theme, maybe water management or community engagement, even custom tags relevant to your organization.
So it's structured from the start.
Right. This structured approach means you're not just dumping raw notes into a void, it's immediately organized. That saves an immense amount of time and frustration later when you or someone else is trying to find specific information, maybe months or even years down the line.
That makes sense. It's the difference between a well-cataloged library and just a giant pile of books.
Exactly that.
Okay, now let's broaden that example out. What if another team in your same organization may be working in a totally different context? Let's say drought resilience, but in the Sahel.
Different region, similar challenge.
Yeah. Could they actually access that lesson from the Kenya project instantly? And maybe more importantly, how does Propel help them figure out if that lesson is genuinely applicable to their own unique situation or if they need to adapt it?
That's a really crucial point, the collaborative aspect. And yes, they absolutely could access it pretty much instantly.
Okay.
The platform lets you organize and search through all your project's collected knowledge really quickly. So no more wasting hours digging through endless shared folders or email chains.
That alone sounds like a win.
It is. And because it's built for seamless sharing, teams can easily explore insights across different departments, different regions. Propel helps that cross-pollination by showing the original context of the lesson, and it lets teams directly comment or ask questions about it.
So it fosters a conversation around the knowledge.
Exactly. A dialogue about how to adapt it, what might work differently elsewhere. It's not just passively receiving information.
And I heard there's an AI component too. How does that fit in? Is it just search?
Well, it's more than just basic search. This is where it gets pretty interesting. The AI actively works to identify patterns and can even provide suggestions.
Like what?
Imagine, for instance, it flags that 3 different projects, maybe in completely separate countries, all ran into the same unexpected hurdle with, say, distributing a specific type of seed during the rainy season.
Okay. Things you wouldn't normally connect.
Right. The AI connects these previously siloed experiences. It might then surface the lessons learned from Project A about overcoming that hurdle and suggest them proactively to Project B and C before they hit the same wall.
Wow. So it's helping you avoid problems before they even happen based on collective experience? That feels like a massive leap.
It really is transformative. The idea is that in just a couple of clicks, you can literally see in one overview all the relevant knowledge and experiences your organization already has that you can build on. It helps shift the focus from constantly reacting to problems toward more proactive, informed action. The AI makes sure that accumulated wisdom isn't just sitting there, but it's intelligently presented as actionable insights.
So going back to our Kenya example, that initial insight about the innovative farming techniques, it doesn't just stay as a success story for that one project anymore.
No, not at all.
With Propel, it actually becomes part of this growing interconnected network of knowledge within the organization.
Precisely.
And this is where you start to see that ripple effect, right? Extending way beyond just the original project team.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, You now have teams working across different countries, maybe dealing with different types of crises, but they can access, adapt, and share these relevant lessons almost instantly.
Uh-huh.
What's really compelling here is the compounding effect. Every single project gets to build on what came before it across the entire organization.
So the learning curve gets steeper faster.
Exactly. Your organizational learning accelerates. And as a result, your collective impact can expand, potentially exponentially. You move beyond just individual project successes towards more systemic, interconnected progress.
So what does this really all mean for you, the listener, and your work?
I think it boils down to the profound power of stopping that endless cycle of reinventing the wheel
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and instead learning faster, learning smarter, and crucially learning together. Propel, from this perspective, isn't just another tool you'll have to remember a password for,
Hopefully not.
right? It's presented more as a movement, really, to reimagine how we learn and how we act. Something that goes hand in hand with the actual work you do, helping you build on everything we already know to create sustainable, positive impact.
And I think this really raises a fundamental question for all of us working in this space. In a world facing so many complex, interconnected challenges, and knowing how much knowledge has already been generated by countless dedicated people.
Yeah.
Do we not have a profound responsibility, really, to ensure that all that invaluable wisdom, all those hard-earned lessons, actually flow effectively to precisely where they're needed most?